party management can be categorized into three: the pre-elections, the election day proper, and the post-election. The pre-election activities, if you go to section 91, 1 to 4 of the Electoral Act 2022, is well stated that the Commissioner of Police has been directed to ensure that all rallies and processions by political parties are monitored. And some of the issues I want you people to interrogate during the course of this workshop will be, now that the Public Order Act has been set aside, where you don't have to take any permits to hold rallies or processions, how do we conduct, how are you going to manage the political parties? Who are they like breaking the law? If they see now that one political party is going to hold a rally in Ikeja, the other party will be holding another one, next door. And the Act has asked that on no account should the Commissioner of Police stop anybody from holding such processions or such rallies. So it means that you have a commissioner who must be mentally mobile, who will be able to think out of the box. Supposing it's happening, what are they going to do? So that is one challenge that we're likely to face. And resolving the conflict of such public order is a huge task for the police force. And we think that the commissioners of police should be able to handle it. On election duties days, what are the roles of the Nigerian police force? Well, they have to escort ballot materials to the various, polling units. They also have to ensure that the electorates, the ad hoc staff, everybody is safe, for the elections to be conducted. And after the elections, they have to escort the ballot papers and the officials to the collation centers, where the results will be collated and announced. Sometimes after the elections, just as the chairman said, Nigerians are very difficult people. They never accept defeats. And once they lose elections, the other man has rigged. But let me share some thoughts with you that all political parties, they try to manipulate elections. They manipulate it in areas where they have their strengths. It is when they try to go into the, to the terrain of other people, that is where you usually have these conflicts. All of them. The INEC chairman mentioned just now an off-season election that we monitored somewhere in the South. The president had called an executive, meeting to say he wanted to talk to us. He looked pointedly at the INEC chairman and myself and said, gentlemen, I have conducted elections on 3 or 4 occasions, and any time I conduct elections, it is the INEC and the police who has always stood on my part. So these elections, I want to tell you people, don't put the assets of the police at the disposal of any of the political parties. Let them go and win the hearts and minds of the people, and let the election be free and fair. The meeting lasted 10 minutes, and we all left. 2 o'clock the following morning, some 4 politicians, ministers in his cabinet woke me up. And they said, we heard what the president told the people today. They were not in the meeting, but they were already citing this thing that we heard what the president told you. But look, you are our IG. So what are you going to do for us? So I said, what do you want me to do for you? He said, the commissioner of police, the area commander, the DPO. They mentioned about 10 people in the states who they wanted out. So I looked at them, I said, okay, where do you have replacement for them? They said, yes. They put their hands in their pocket and go there. So I asked them, I said, do you know these officers that you want me to deploy? They said, yes, they are our friends. So I took the paper from them. The following day, I called the commissioner of police. I said, you see, you've not done anything wrong, but I feel, you should just give, way for this election to take place. Then I called those ones that they gave me their names. I wrote a small undertaking that they have to sign for me. I said, the president has directed that on no account should the assets of the Nigerian police force be put at anybody's disposal. I asked them to sign. So So they signed, they took a copy, I took a copy. And they went. Halfway during the elections, they saw that they were losing. They called, they gathered those men that, that they had relied on and said, okay, come. They said, no, that IG, he made us sign an undertaking. They said, he made you people sign an undertaking? They said, yes. He said, okay, no wonder. He was appointed by the PDP. So we must make sure that he leaves. And when they came back from the election, anyway, they lost. When they came back from the election, they met the president and told the president, sir, we told you we don't have an IG. The IG we have is a PDP apologist. So the earlier this boy leaves this thing, the better for us. But the president knew better, because he knew that I was carrying out his directive, myself and the INEC chairman. So the challenge we are likely to face in these elections, in terms of manpower deployment, we have had off-season elections in Ekiti, in Ondo, in Anambra. So it was easy to mobilize men and material to take to those areas. The election that is coming up next year, the police will not have that privilege, because everybody will be manning the elections in their various states. And for the civil defense and all the other extended police family that the Interagency Consultative Committee on Security, Election Security has put together, how are they going to come together and make sure that the elections are... During the training program we had, there was the issue of command and control. If the police is supposed to be the lead agency, and you are deploying prisons officials, civil defense, federal road safety, whose rank are higher than the policemen, who takes precedence in terms of the election security management. So that is going to be another very huge challenge for the police. Then, presently, the insecurity in the country, you can geolocate it. Insecurity in Nigeria can be geolocated. You look at the northeast, you look at the northwest, you look at the north central. Sometimes some of this insecurity, they move from one region to the other. So you cannot properly situate them, where they are supposed to be. How are we going to deal with them? When half of the police officers that we have been given to the elites, for them as escort and all those type of things. So it's going to be another very huge challenge. Are we going to be able to sanitize the areas where we have these insecurities, where IDP camps have been created? How are we going to manage those things? So I think INEC, these are some of the issues in your meetings with the IG and the NSA you'll be looking at to see. The military has done very well of recent. They've been able to deal decisive blows on the insurgents and all those areas, but the problems are still there. There must be this institutional synergy, as we want to call it, the trinity of civil society, which Madam represents, the security agents, and the electoral body. I recommended to the IG when we finished our training that the people who should manage the communication desk for the police must be people who are knowledgeable enough, who are good at communication, that their utterances will not escalate instead of de-escalating the event. I'll give you an example. When the Anambra election was being held, I was listening to the Situation Room. They were interviewing one deputy commissioner of police. They asked him, how are you going to deal with IPOB? He said, don't mind those stupid people. The other ones who try to come and mess us up, we blow up their head. So I was wondering, how can a deputy commissioner talk that way? You blow up their head, extrajudicial killings. So you are even, now making the people feel, they want to fight you back. So we must be very, very careful about how we go about our communication. Then lastly, the INEC chairman, sir. I don't know what we are going to do about electoral offenses, the prosecution of electoral offenses. This is the only country where there are no consequences for crime. people do things and get away with them. There are no precedents of how to deal with them. I take interest as a retired, security expert in taking data of, crime across the length and breadth of the world. Nigeria is not the crime rate we have in Nigeria is not comparable to that we have in maybe the US, the UK. But the problem we have in those areas is that they have the capacity to deal with these people. Look at what happened with the USA elections. Virtually all of them that attacked, all of them they are serving jail terms. In 2019, some areas in Festac were attacked during the elections. They took away ballot boxes. It was on television. You could see it. You could see the people